Lovin Life's Journey. I'm Chantel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are doing 5 honeybee and sunflower home decor DIYs. So let's jump in and get started. For this project I will be using one of these Hexagon mirrors from Dollar Tree, as well as this yellow patterned scrapbook paper. I'm using this vinyl transfer that I cut out on my Cricut machine. And I'll also be using a couple of coordinating ribbons from Dollar Tree. I'm going to start by removing the mirror from the frame. Then I'm going to trace the mirror on my scrapbook paper and cut that out. Next I'm going to use some Mod Podge, and I am going to Mod Podge that paper onto the back of the mirror. And once I lay my paper down, I'm going to smooth it out, and I'm using my little Cricut burnishing tool to smooth all of the bubbles and wrinkles out, and then I'm going to let that dry completely before I put the coat of Mod Podge over the top of the paper. And I just think that this helps reduce wrinkles by letting it dry in between instead of putting the top coat on right away. So I decided which direction I wanted my hexagon to be with the patterned paper, and then I am going to put my vinyl design on this. This is a design that I purchased off of Etsy. It was only $1.50, so I think that's a great deal. It's super cute. I'm going to put the link in the description box below in case you want to get that. If you don't have a Cricut, you could print out something on a piece of paper or patterned paper and use that, but there are all kinds of designs that you could put on this. It doesn't have to be this particular one. Now I'm going to put this back into the frame and add the back on, and you'll want to make sure, especially if you're going to hang it, that you get the little hanger in the right spot. And then I am going to add some embellishments to this. So I am taking some of this burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I am just making a loop, just the size of a bow that I want to add to it. And then I'm using some of this black and white ribbon, and I'm going to add a little bit of a smaller loop to the top of that just to make a cute little bow. I'll secure both of these with a little bit of hot glue and then tie a little piece of twine around the center to finish that off. I was just going to put a button in the center of my bow, but I found this old costume jewelry ring in my stash, and I think this is going to be perfect. I love using old jewelry and miscellaneous items for embellishments. It just adds something extra to your projects. So I'm just using the top of this ring. I'm going to glue my bow on the top of my frame and then put that flower in the center of the bow. I decided I wanted to add something extra, so I'm taking some of this greenery, and this is just some, I think I got this at Walmart, but it was really inexpensive, and I'm just taking 4 sprigs of this and adding it behind my bow. This month I am competing in Heidi Sonboul's Creative Champion Contest, and this video is part of a hop with the 8 other creators who are also competing in the contest. So be sure to click on the link in the description box to go and watch the next creator's video. There is also a link to Heidi's channel where you can go see how I made this project, which is my submission for this first week of the contest. Heidi's video will show you all of the other contestants' submissions, and she will give you instructions on how to vote. So be sure you click on that link and head on over there and cast your vote. For this next project, I will be using this little crate that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I will also be using one of the little bee laser wood cutouts from Dollar Tree. To fill my little wood crate, I will be using some Spanish moss, some sunflowers that I picked up in the floral section of Dollar Tree, and some of this Dollar Tree ribbon. I will be using some Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. It's just an off-white, and I'm going to paint my entire crate except for the inside because that is not going to be seen. Once that paint is dry, I'm going to take a little bit of the black chalk paint and I'm going to dry brush on the crate just to give it more of an aged look. Next, I'm using an acrylic paint marker to write the words Farm Fresh Honey on the front of the crate. If you don't have an acrylic paint marker, you could paint this freehand. You could use a Sharpie marker. You could use stickers or stencils. There's all kinds of possibilities. Then I'm going to fill my crate with the Spanish moss and add in some of my sunflowers and a little bit of greenery. I'm going to take my ribbon and loop it back and forth so that I have 5 loops on each side. Then I am going to take a piece of floral wire and tie that or twist that around the center of the ribbon to secure it. I'm going to leave my wire about 2 or 3 inches long, and then I am going to use that to poke it down into the little crate. I'm going to fluff up my ribbon and kind of intertwine it into the flowers and greenery. Next, I'm going to take the laser cut bee and I am going to use some black craft paint or chalk paint and paint it black on both sides. Then I'm going to take a piece of wire about 10 inches long. I'm going to twist it around a pencil, and then I am going to glue one end of that onto the back side of the bee. Then I will poke the other end of the wire down inside the crate in between the flowers and just adjust it until it is in the position that I want it to be so it looks like it's flying above the flowers. For this next project, I will be using one of the longer, narrower signs from Dollar Tree. They carry these pretty much for all of the holidays, so you can almost always find them. I'll also be using this galvanized word sign from Dollar Tree. and one of these sunflowers, and several kinds of coordinating ribbon. I'll also be using these Velcro adhesive dots. I found these at Dollar Tree as well. First, I'm going to remove the jute hanger that is on the sign. I am going to save this and reuse it. Then I'm going to remove any of the three-dimensional elements that are on my sign. And I'm going to paint both sides of my sign and the edges using some black chalk paint. While my paint is drying, I'm going to take some tin snips and I'm going to very carefully cut the letters of this home word apart. And you will want to wear some eye protection for this, and just be careful because there are some sharp edges when you cut these. But they do cut apart pretty well if you use tin snips. I actually used a sanding block from Dollar Tree just to go over those edges where I cut the letters apart, and this did help smooth these out and make them so they were not as sharp. Now that my black paint is dry, I am using a chip brush from Dollar Tree. I picked this up in like the painting supplies aisle, and these are great for dry brushing. I'm just using some ivory chalk paint and dry brushing on the sign. Now I'm going to use some E6000 glue and a little bit of hot glue to glue my letters to my sign, and I am using only the H, M, and E. I'm not using the O. And I'm gluing these down, leaving a space where the O would be. For my project, I'm using the sunflower. I'm just using one off of one of these bunches that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut off the end as close as I can to the flower and cut that stem off so that I have a little bit of a flat spot to add one of the Velcro dots to. And they are adhesive, self-adhesive, and they do stick pretty well, but just to make sure this stays on, I'm going to attach it with some hot glue. So I glued one on the flower and one on the sign. You want to make sure that you're getting the opposite types so that they stick together. And now I have a place to put my flower so it looks like the O in the word home. Next, I'm going to make a little bit of a messy bow to put on the top of the sign. So I'm using several pieces of different kinds of ribbon, and I'm just going to tie those together using some twine. To give my bow a little bit more of the messy look and to finish it off, I'm going to trim each one of the ends of the ribbon in a V shape. And then I'm going to glue it in the top corner of my sign. And I intentionally made this ribbon bow more neutral colors so that I can switch out that flower in the center to go with any holidays or any color scheme that I want, and it will still match with that bow. I did decide that I wanted to add a few leaves to the back of my sunflower, and so I'm going to hot glue those on the back just to give it a little bit more color. I also decided to add an old antique button out of my grandma's stash and a little twine bow to the center of my messy ribbon bow, and I think that just finishes it off perfectly. And then I added that jute hanger back on the top. This last project is so simple, and it uses one of these little wax warmers from Dollar Tree that has the little bees on it, as well as this little votive tea light candle holder. I'll also be using some more of that black and white checked ribbon and some of this greenery. And I'm using an LED tea light from Dollar Tree also. I am leaving the wax warmer just as it is. I'm not adding any paint or anything, and I'm tying a bow around the middle right below the flower. Then I'm going to set the little candle holder right on top. You could glue this down, but it fits in there really pretty well, and so I am going to just set it on there so that I can remove it later if I want to. Then I'm going to pull off some of these greenery sprigs. I think these are the ones I got at Walmart, and I am going to just poke those down in around that candle holder all the way around. And then just add the little LED tea light. I really love how this looks with the first project that I made, but it is so cute. It just has just enough color, and it's just a very high-end looking, and it was so easy to make. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel to grow, and let me know in the comments below which of these projects was your favorites. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and remember that this is a hop, so you can go to that link to the next creator's video and see all of their DIYs and go all the way around the loop to see everyone's DIYs in the contest. And remember, you get to vote for the winner in this contest, so be sure to head on over to Heidi's channel and that link that's in the description box below to see how I made this project and to see the other projects that were submitted, and also to find out how to vote. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day.